Hey guys, it's Amber with Limit Valley Couponing, and today we are going to be canning peaches. It is a Saturday morning, so our house is busy with kids and noise and messes, so work with us. We already got one canner done, and the reason why we like to can fruits and vegetables is just because it's good, and it's a good way to save money, especially if you could have a garden of your own. And if you can't, if you know any farmers or local people, friends and family that does have gardens, that you can get the fruit and vegetables cheap or free. And then plus, you know where your fruit comes from, or your vegetables. You know that if there's any preservatives or chemicals or anything like that. This way we know exactly where everything comes from. So we're canning peaches today. We got our box of peaches that we got that we bought through the FFA fundraiser. We got our clean jars. We got all our things that you need. So first thing you do, you clean your jars, and then you also sterilize your lids and rings. That's hot. And then we got our sugar water boiling in the back, which is 2 cups sugar to 4
We do a light syrup.
We do a light syrup, which is 2 cups sugar to 4 cups water, and then you double it for how many jars and things that you need to fill. And then we have our water bath canner. We've already done one round of, you see in there, peaches in there, but you fill it up to where the water is not quite over the rack that you have in there, and you put it on the burner and you start it getting boiling and warm. And right now we got some in there, and we don't start timing this until it's boils. And then for peaches we boil for 25 minutes, just the same for quarts, just the same for pears. So once you got all of this prepared and ready, then you start your process of preparing your fruit. And by doing so, the best way that we found to do it is kind of like blanching them. We take our peaches and we put them into this hot water for about a minute, just long enough for them to get soft. All right, it's been about a minute, so I'm going to just scoop these out into my colander. And take these over and put them right into some cold water. All right, there's a couple ways that you could peel the skin off. I like to just use my hands and just peel them. If you could see Mom, where you put your, she uses a knife. You go down, oh, she's done peeling. She likes to use a knife, but I find it easier, especially when holding slippery, wet fruit, to just use my hands and come off.
And that pit comes right out.
Sometimes your pit will be broken. Sometimes they don't want to come out, so you kind of just got to fish for it. You want to make sure that you have no pits going into your canned jars, just because you don't want to get that and eat it. So once you have them peeled, you sliced them in half, and there's the pit in it. What did you say that when you take
Freestone. These are Freestone peaches, so the pit comes out real easy. It doesn't cling to the fruit.
So you slice, or however you want to slice them, smaller, bigger, and then we put them into this water bath that has some lemon juice in it to help preserve them and keep them from not turning brown. You could also use store-bought preservatives,
Sorbic acid.
sorbic acid. It's just like a powdery thing that you just shake right into your water. You put your fruit in there, they don't turn as fast. So once you cut and slice and de-pit your peaches, you have them in your water, and then it's going to be time to fill the jars. So I'm going to just move a few things around so I have the space to do so. So we got our clean jars, and then we got this little funnel that you could use to direct the fruit into it so you don't spill over. It's up to you if you want to use it. I find with peaches it's just easier to scoop it with a handful and drop them into the jar. So I've got my peaches, my jar, and I'm going to just kind of take a handful. It's always good to look at them just to make sure that nothing is left on them, any pits, because although my mom is perfect, she does make a few mistakes here and there like anyone else. So you grab your peaches and then you just kind of drop them into your jar. And then halfway through, you just kind of pound it down so you can fit more in and fill some spaces. Push, but not too hard, because then you'll just be smashing the fruit. There we go. Alright, after you get all your jars filled, which in our water bath canner we can fit 7. You take the sugar water that you boiled and you fill the jars where there's about basically half an inch, quarter inch space between the top and the peaches. After you fill the jars with your sugar water, your syrup, you use a butter knife to chase the bubbles out. And what's the purpose of chasing the bubbles?
Getting the air out of the jar.
And then after you trace your bubbles, take a clean cloth rag, wet it.
Refill add more liquid, more syrup,
Yes, if while
because it,
chasing your bubbles and moving things around, there's chances that there's some air pockets and that you need to actually end up adding more syrup into the jar. Then you take your wet rag and you clean the rims of the jars.
to get any food particles off so that it doesn't interfere with the sealing.
The next step would be taking your lids out of this hot water and just scoop up a few for her. And then once your tops are clean, you then take your lids place them on top, and then take your rings it's here. All right, jars are filled, syrup's in, lids and rings are on and screwed tight. The next step would be to put them into your water bath, but we still have 4 minutes and 10 seconds until our first round is done. So we'll just have to wait that 4 minutes and then put these in. And if you have a big box and lots to do, this is when you just repeat the whole steps all over again. You start with clean water, clean new clean jars. You'll put your ascorbic acid in.
If I come back and I say I won, I'll be winning. Maybe I'll get a damn trophy.
Yeah, I'll get a trophy.
Peaches. She wants some peaches.
So our 25 minutes came and beeped, and so we're going to lift the rack up out of the water, which could be heavy at times. And it's nice that there's these little hooks that hang on the side of the water canner. And then what you do is you move it closer. So you could let them sit here and cool off a little bit, or you could use, canner lifter. What is that called?
Jar lifter.
Jar lifter. Use a jar lifter, or you could use hot pads to lift it up out of the water. And then we place it over here on a towel to sit and rest on, and then we'll cover them like this. We had a conversation not that long ago why we do it, and my mom said that she did it because that's what her mom did, and so on. I always figured that she did it because as kids she didn't want us rubbing up against these super hot boiling jars, but it's up to you, I guess. This is what we do. Also, while taking the jars out of the canner, you want to kind of do it at a evenly. You don't want all your jars in the back to be last, because then it might make your rack a little wobbly and have things move around. Yeah, forget that. I like, for the most part, I'll use just like hot pads. sure if you caught that, but we dumped some of the hot boiling water from the canner out, and we're going to add a little bit of cold water into it just because we don't want our next set of jars to go in. Chances of the jars breaking, just cold jars going into something hot is never
Because
great.
we pre-did them. Normally the jars are a lot hotter when you're first starting. But we
So
have
this is called cold pack when you don't process the fruit, when you don't cook it down or anything like that, is considered cold packing. And then hot packing is when you would put your fruit on the stove mixed in with your syrup, and that's probably good unless you need colder water. So you'll process your fruit on a pan with your cut up fruit and your syrup, and then you would fill the jars that way, and that's considered hot packing. And the cold packing is what we did, where we fill our jar, we cut our fruit, and then pour in the syrup and the fruit separately. So,
Whoa,
too much water?
maybe.
So if you get too much water, and then when you drop your jars down, you can always just take a measuring cup or some sort of scooping device and scoop out some water. And I prefer to can when there's no kids at home, but it is Saturday, and so they are all here, but they are leaving for a soccer game, and so this is Landon. So once you got your peaches in and you drop your rack down, you're going to have to cover it, turn it on to high, and it's going to come to a boil, which depending on how warm the water is and how good a stove you have, will take anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes. And once it comes to a roaring boil in there, we're going to set our timer for 25 minutes. Once that beeps, then you're good to take it off. And sometimes you always just need a little dance break.
Whoa, look at it.
You dancing with Grandma?
Landon could teach me that.
Oh, the floss. You gotta get the move.
That's a
Wanna
good.
do it?
No, I can't. You try to teach me.
Daisy, where's your sweet moves, huh, baby girl? Where's your sweet moves? Where's your sweet moves?
Oh, wait. Come on, dance. Oh. Oh. There you go. Oh, you dance. Hey, I'm gonna dance with you.
Make your
Bam, bam, bam. Wait, clap your hands.
love Saturday mornings.
Oh, Ellie, you okay?
Alright guys, I'm in my garage, and please excuse the mess. It is pretty dirty and unorganized. We try our best. But I'm going to just show you real quick some of the items that we do can. We have up here, let's see, let me flip this around. Alright, up here is, we have 6 jars of peaches from last year that we have not finished. Normally we will finish all our peaches and our pears. Pears we do 2 times a year, so peaches we do in the beginning of September, end of August, and that's usually because that's when they're ripe. And same with pears, so we have a pear tree in our backyard, and then we also get some winter pears, usually donated to us, just friends and family that have winter pears that give it to us. And these are what's left over, not all of them. I think we have like 10 jars from our winter pears left over, but we also canned, see, here's our Bartlett's from our tree in our backyard that we canned just the beginning of September. So this will last. I'm the youngest out of 6 kids, so I have a lot of siblings and a lot of nieces. Well, I only have one niece. A lot of nephews and a niece who love home canned goods, and we've been eating canned goods, home canned goods, pretty much my whole entire life. So it's what we're used to, and it's what we're teaching our kids as well, along with our fruit. We got applesauce. This was done late October 2017, and we have about 8 quarts and 2 pints left. We won't can any more of this until late October. Here we have our green beans, and here's some of our tomatoes, and also some mixed peppers, jalapenos and red peppers, which is always so much better than, in my opinion, than like the store-bought jalapenos. And like I said earlier, it's all because we know exactly where these came from. These peppers came from our garden, which my mom just retired from working at the local high school, where she worked in the ag department and ran the greenhouse and taught the kids how to plant seeds and hydroponics and just all these things. So like our peppers came from seeds that my mom planted, and then we brought home and transplanted them into our own garden. The green beans came from my boyfriend Andrew's family. They're local farmers, and they have green beans, hazelnuts, blueberries, corn, and grassy, everything. They're just a pretty decent sized farming family, and so these green beans came straight from the field to our house. So yeah, I know exactly where our fruit came from, and it's just so much better in my opinion than like store-bought canned. Although it's funny because these same green beans from Andrew's family goes to a local cannery, then that cannery cans them and then sells them at like Walmart or Winco. But at least I know it was my hands touching it and whatnot. Along with canning our fruits and vegetables, we also freeze a lot of it, and we do that with the Food Saver. We are in our big freezer, and I'll show you some of the produce that we freeze. This is just probably with this was just leftover that didn't fit into a quart, and so we froze it. We also got zucchini, which is awesome for zucchini breads and casserole, apples, summer squashes, and then corn we do every 2 years, which is this is probably the last one it looks like. We do it every 2 years because we do it in the truckload size. We fill up the whole back of the truck with ears of corn, which comes from one of our local farmer friends, like Andrew's family or someone else, and we shuck them, clean them, we blanch them, and then cut them off of the cob, and then we seal them, mill them. We suck all the air out and freeze them. And our family prefers it to be frozen than to can it in the jars like the other food. And then we stick them in the freezer, and they last. This is 2 years, and it tastes just the same as if we went out to the field and picked it off the stalk and ate it right then and there. We also have some marronberries, some strawberries, lots and lots of blueberries. Andrew's family is huge blueberry growers, and so fruit's always good for cobblers and pies, and then also to make jams and jellies throughout the year. And then a side note that's not canning fruit or vegetables is right here we have this dog food, and whenever we have large pieces of meat left over, like turkeys or chickens or something like that, we will cook it down and make homemade dog food, and then freeze them, put them in individual bags and freeze them. So when we run out of dog food and can't get to the store at night or going camping or something like that, we always have some dog food, and that way we know what our dog's eating. And yeah, it's just, sometimes it's nice to have things that you know exactly what is what. And then we got some super pretzels back there with some Cubani. Anyway, that's our deep freezer. I ran out of space with trying to reorganize our peaches and pears that I put our homemade apple cider. Just shake it up. All the stuff kind of goes to the bottom. This is homemade apple cider that we used. Andrew's family does this big apple press. They're a big farming family. Lots of orchards and food, things like that. And every fall they do a big apple press and fresh pressed apple cider, and it's so dang good. It's so awesome. And there's been many years that we've like put our jugs in the freezer, but this last year I decided I want to try to can it. I talked to some of his aunts and his grandma, and they said that they'd done it plenty of times. And so what I did is I took the fresh press apple cider and I put it into a pot and I boiled it, and then I add a little bit of cinnamon to kind of give it a spice flavor. And then because I boiled the juices down hot, I didn't actually have to process these in a canner. It sealed itself, and during the boiling process it cleaned out any bacteria. So these are awesome. Whenever we want apple cider, we just throw it into the refrigerator, get cooled, chilled a little bit, and have some. But we got 8 jars left, so better drink some up before end of October when we go to the apple press again. But anyway, so I'm having it to be in my random box of couponing things. Okay, we're inside the house, actually in our laundry room. But this is where we store our jams and jellies. This is blueberry. We got 1 jar of peach left from last year, and back here is some strawberry. We love homemade jams and jellies. It's so much better than store-bought preserves. And whenever we have leftover fruit, like we have a handful of peaches left, whenever we have leftover fruit from canning, we usually turn it into jams and jellies. But it is so much better than store-bought and so much cheaper to do it at home, especially if you have the space to grow the fruit yourself, or people that have it, that they could give it to you. Hey, so that was our video on how to can peaches. I know it was super long, so if you made it all the way through, high five, woohoo! And I also showed you our pantry of all the canned goods that we canned. So if you have any questions regarding how to can and how whatever, please don't hesitate to ask in the comments or shoot me an email somehow, somewhere. Because we can throughout the year, and so even if it's peaches or pears or green beans, I'll most likely have an answer for you, or at least I could always ask my mom, who's been doing it for many years. And hopefully I could get to Walmart and I bought a couponing haul at Walmart done this week. It's been crazy hectic, but I'm really hoping I could get it done by Monday morning. I don't know. It's late. It's like mid-afternoon. Not mid-afternoon. It's late afternoon Saturday, so hopefully. But I'm going to take the opportunity of a semi-quiet house and cuddle up and try to watch TV. The kids are doing their quiet hour right now, so I'm going to try to get mine in. So I'll see you guys later.